AITA for telling my daughter's boyfriend to go home? I picked up my daughter's boyfriend, Ron, not his name, from his house Friday night so we could watch a Christmas movie together. My daughter, Molly, not her name, and I had already had dinner at a restaurant after Christmas shopping, but he hadn't. So I offered to make him dinner. Ron wanted to prepare something on his own, so I told him he could use our kitchen. He's done this before, is responsible, and uses our equipment with care. By the way, they are both 17. We get home and he walks into the kitchen, which was a mess, and that's my fault. I hadn't had time to clean it up after cooking dinner the night before. Ron says he can't work like this and proceeds to clean up the kitchen with my daughter's help. I left the kitchen to do something else. A few minutes later, I walk into the kitchen to make tea and hear my daughter say the mess is due to my procrastination. So I explained that I had been up since 3 a.m., I worked the early shift, and hadn't had time to clean the kitchen because I had other things to take care of and I had taken her Christmas shopping after work. She asked if I was done. I went to the living room to watch TV. Minutes later, Ron goes outside with a small compost bucket for kitchen scraps to dump in the large bin provided by the city. He walks back and complaining about the gunk stuck in the bottom which did not fall out. It's a mixture of coffee grounds and bacon fat, so it's hard to shake out. He tells me he's going to hose it off outside. As he's leaving, I remember that the outdoor hose is off because it's winter, so I yell, "Come back." The hose won't work, it's turned off. My daughter tells me not to yell, and I tell her to tell him the hose won't work, it's winter. Note, this is the second time in a week that he's expressed disgust at our kitchen scraps bucket, so I'm getting irked about it because I take it as a criticism whether he means it that way or not. Also, the fact of his parents' kitchen always being clean is something that he and my daughter have made a point of mentioning a few times. Ron returns with the bucket and Molly washes it out in the sink. When she's done washing it, he comes to the living room holding the bucket, explaining that he's going to put parchment, baking paper, in the bottom to prevent the gunk from sticking to the bottom again. I interrupt him and ask him to please not tell me about it because I'm not interested. He continues and I ask him again not to tell me, I don't want to know. He has a puzzled expression on his face and starts again. I tell him to stop talking about it and if he cannot stop to go home because I don't want to hear about it. He stops and leaves the living room to join Molly in her room. About 15 minutes later, Ron says goodnight and leaves. Molly has asked me to apologize to Ron, and I'm having a hard time convincing myself I was in the wrong.